Sean, what do you think has maybe been off with the way Brees has been playing the last 2 weeks? If you think anything has been off, it just seems like he wasn't as accurate. Sorry, he wasn't as accurate as you would normally expect from him. Hopefully, you can hear me.
I made the comment. You know, we've got to be precise with what we're doing in the passing game route wise. I agree with you, really. I'm just saying the last 2 weeks, I think it's been average at best offensively, and that starts with us. It starts with me, and we got to be better. I thought we ran the ball a little bit better tonight. We're still not protecting the way we're supposed to. We're not functioning well enough and taking advantage of some of the opportunities we've had. So we'll look at that. Our third down numbers were better. I'm sure our red zone numbers were a little better, but yeah, we had some penalty situations. The one drive, heck, we had like 3 or 4 penalties. I lost track.
Sean, it seemed like you guys had trouble with Waller and that you tried a lot of different combinations. What was it? Just you just couldn't find a combination that worked on him?
Listen, you're exactly right. You know, and so to let one of those guys like that get into our defense the way he did, that's our own fault. That's our own fault.
Sean, what was the issue was there anything in particular you couldn't get with not being able to get off the field? I know that had to be frustrating because you couldn't get the ball back to your offense to get into a rhythm.
Look, I honestly, we have to look at the tape, but you got to credit Las Vegas. You know, those guys did a great job. They got in and out of plays versus our coverage looks. You know, and one by one, they made the plays when they needed to, especially in the last half of that game. You know, third quarter, fourth quarter, our third down numbers were poor, and we didn't do a good job of stopping one of their better players.
Any sense of whether the penalties, and it's the second week in a row over 110 yards, I guess, resulted from just, you know, guys struggling to stay with their man and doing whatever they could to recover, or, you know, or just really a mistaken technique?
Well, look, there weren't just defensive fouls. You know, there were more than just defensive fouls, but obviously we're not going to win when we have that many penalties, and that we got to get that cleaned up. I thought we played poorly in the secondary, honestly. All right, thank you, guys.
All right, that was Saints head coach Sean Payton after the Saints 34-24 loss on the road in Las Vegas, taking on the Raiders. And as you mentioned, or as he just mentioned in closing, penalties. No, it was not on all of the defense, but there was a ton of defensive pass interference call, one pass interference call on Jared Cook on the offensive side of things. 10 penalties for 129 yards, a glaring concern. Just being week 2 for the Saints, but of course, they did not have any preseason or OTAs, and this was their first chance getting on the road. No, there were no fans, but it's just a new environment, and obviously something the Saints struggled with. First downs, Saints only had 17 to the Raiders 18, but one thing the Saints can take away that is a positive is they did keep the Raiders to just 116
Alvin Kamara's here. Let's go ahead and fire away.
And Alvin Kamara is actually coming up to the podium now. We'll go ahead and take him.
Hey, Alvin, what did you think sort of just happened there in the, I guess, the second half, and well, I guess second quarter and the second half? What changed for you all?
We just ain't have enough. They played a good game. We ain't do what we needed to do to win. Penalties killed us. We shot ourselves.
Next one's from Doug Mouton.
Yeah, hey, Alvin, look, I know it's a long season. You looked awful quick tonight, and you said last week you felt fast. I was safe to say you felt good out there today?
Yeah, I felt good. I mean, felt good. Would have liked to get the win. but we couldn't do that. So it is what it is. We got to watch the film, digest it. It's gonna be a hard one to watch. A lot of errors, a lot of sloppy play. Got to come back better.
Doug Mouton again. Thanks.
Yeah, look, Alvin, this team's won the NFC South 3 years in a row and has never started 2-0. Is there something about this team where you sort of ramp up better and some reason you're not a fast starting team?
I guess that's for everybody else to think about. We want to win every game. We're not going into the second game of the season like, oh, let's lose this one so we can double back and do what we did the last 3 years. We're trying to win every game. We didn't do enough tonight. It was ugly. It's a hard truth.
Next is from Nick Underhill.
I don't know if this really applies to you because the running game is pretty good, but why do you think the offense is a little bit out of sync right now?
I wouldn't say it's out of sync. We just had some mistakes that we can't have if we want to play winning football. It's unacceptable. That's all I can say.
Next one's from Luke Johnson.
Alvin, I know individual stuff doesn't really matter in a losing effort, but I was curious what you thought of Traquan Smith tonight, kind of stepping up with Mike being out.
He played well. He had to step up. He did. You know, he's a good player. He make plays when his number's called. It's nothing spectacular. It's not like we don't expect that. So he did what he had to do.
I think we're all set. Thanks, Alvin.
Yep.
Yeah, we just heard from Saints running back Alvin Kamara again, recording 2 touchdowns in a game. This time, though, the Saints do fall. But when you look back at the first quarter of this game, the Saints offense just kept things rolling, especially not having Michael Thomas there. That's one thing we were looking forward to seeing other guys stepping up, specifically Emmanuel Sanders. But Emmanuel Sanders was left off the board. He had just 1 reception for 18 yards tonight. A positive, though, Traquan Smith is a guy we were looking for in game 1. Well, we got to see him tonight. He had 5 receptions, good for 86 yards. No touchdowns for him, though. Jared Cook did have a touchdown, but one thing that he is going to wish he could get back is that 1 offensive pass interference call, as well as some of those pass interference calls on the Saints secondary. It seemed after the half, John Gruden was really able to annihilate the Saints secondary with matching them up with their tight ends. The tight ends were just really working the Saints secondary, but going into the half, Saints defense or front 7 was strong. They looked to disrupt Derek Carr and held Josh Jacobs at bay. Of course, the halftime adjustments the Raiders needed to make, well, they were made. Saints, on the other hand, struggled in the second half. As in total, the Saints end the game with 112 rushing yards, 312 passing yards, but does not get it done. Drew Brees went 26 for 38 in completion percentage. Just not his best game. And when you look at what they have up next, the Green Bay Packers back at home on Sunday, again in a fanless dome, they're really going to have to step up here. Of course, if you're just now tuning in with us, this is our Go Black and Gold post-game show. Saints fall to the Las Vegas Raiders 34-24. We've heard from head coach Sean Payton and Alvin Kamara. They were quick to get to the podium, as I assume they will be quick to getting to the plane, as well as the next players we will hear from. We will eventually hear from Drew Brees, as well as other players coming up, and it looks like a player might be coming soon. But for now, we go back to what the Saints were not able to do offensively. Drew Brees throws an interception in this game that just did not look like the typical Drew Brees, threw just open to a wide open defender trying to hit Deontay Harris, and things just started to spiral for the Saints. We thought a PJ Williams fumble recovery was going to do well for the Saints, but that just was not able to give them enough of a push. Nick Easton and Andres Pete, both offensive guards, facing injuries in this game, meaning Cesar Ruiz did get to have his first NFL debut, but he was only in for just a couple of snaps. And then we also got to see Adam Troutman, another rookie, Saints 7th round draft pick from Dayton. Not a great night for the Saints overall. And we go back to the penalties. That is something that just ate up the Saints. 10 penalties for 129 yards. You look across the board, the Raiders, just 3 penalties for 13 yards. Definitely a difference maker tonight. Drew Brees, though, was not sacked tonight. He was left clean. Derek Carr was sacked 3 times for 23 yards. Of course, those coming in the first half when the Saints just seemed to dominate in the first quarter. Raiders defense were able again to get it together at halftime and find a way to just go after the Saints secondary. C.J. Gardner-Johnson not having his best night out at safety. P.J. Williams stepping in tonight, though, just not overall, not a great performance from the defense. Again, we are on standby for the Saints post-game player reaction. Of course, some might be quick to get to the podium after a tough loss. Others not so much. We are still waiting to hear from Drew Brees, who had not the best game of his season. Of course, when they look back at the film, they'll be able to see. But how about this? Drew Brees has 2 completions longer than 6 yards downfield since the end of the first quarter. Not great. That was made back during the game. Just 2 completions longer than 6 yards. When you look at that, that doesn't seem like the typical Drew Brees. A lot of people are saying it might have something to do with age finally playing a factor and maybe catching up with him. We'll see. It's just week 2. A lot of things to shore up and correct. Another headline happening during this game, coming through on the wire, the NFL fined 3 head coaches today for not wearing their masks on Sunday. That was Denver's head coach, Seattle, and San Francisco's Kyle Shanahan, and it was a hefty fine at that. $100,000 each for not wearing their mask. And each of their teams, another $250,000. So that's about $1.5 million in fines for not wearing masks. Not great. Another thing the Saints talked about this week, specifically Cameron Jordan, when asked about Josh Jacobs and handling him heading into the week, he said, we've got to look at their entire offense. And it proved tonight. Other guys stepping up. Richard, Booker, Jacobs, Waller with a touchdown tonight, and Zay Jones also with a receiving touchdown. Guys that were able to just break apart from the Saints secondary and find their way into the end zone. Going back to what Cam said, he said, we're not just focusing on Josh Jacobs heading into the week, we're focusing on their entire offense. We now see why, given some of those stats. Derek Carr, 28 of 38 in the game, throwing for 282 yards, 3 touchdowns. Brees, on the other hand, 26 of 38, throwing for 312 yards, 1 touchdown, and then the 1 big interception. So, Saints fans, sound off below and sound off in our comment section. Do you think Michael Thomas would have been the difference in this game? Maybe, maybe not. We would have liked to see Emmanuel Sanders step up and kind of fill that void a little bit. Traquan Smith handled a lot of the load. Deontay Harris as well. 3 receptions for 23 receiving yards. He came up big in the fourth quarter with a first down, a crucial first down for the Saints. And it looks like we have somebody coming up next on the Saints podium. We'll go ahead and let them file in and let you guys hear what they have to say.
First question's from Luke Johnson.
Hey, Cam, just what are your overall thoughts on tonight? Just with y'all giving up 34 to the Raiders tonight.
Wasn't good enough. I mean, we had momentum going our way early in the game, and ended up losing the way we did. This is something that we're going to turn on the film, and we have to grow rapidly. At this point, everybody's got their hand in it. I don't know how many penalties we ended up with, but that's something we can't do. Those are self-inflicted injuries that led to scores. That's points on the board that we can't have.
Next question's from Amy Just.
Yeah, the difference between the first quarter and the rest of the game, other than penalties, is there something else that y'all can point to before watching the film, of course?
I mean, that's a glaring issue right there. When you have over 100 yards, that's something that, you know, we have to immediately learn from. We're going to take this and get to the film as best we can and be back ready for Sunday.
Next question is from Catherine Terrell.
Cam, can you tell me kind of what you do immediately after a loss like this? Like, do you go straight to the film, and can you even make an assessment of how you played when you're still in those hours right after, or you're still feeling frustrated about what happened?
Yeah, we're on a shorter week. We have a game Sunday. We don't have the 24-hour rule in effect. This is something we got to get better from today. I don't know whether that leads to meetings early in the morning before we get out of here, but whatever it is, we got to be on the same accord come Sunday.
So basically, like right after this, are you going to grab the tablet and?
Yeah, we don't have the luxury. We don't have the luxury for a 24-hour rule. At this point, we got to digest it. We got to eat this and grow as a team. We got to grow as a defense. There's things that we hadn't even shown on tape. So we've got to correct these mistakes. Again, everybody had their hand in it. You talk about missed tackles, penalties. I had 2 penalties myself. One offsides on the right side, and then a horse collar. But I want clarity on that just as well, because I feel at the end of the day, when you see those penalties, there's no excuse to be made. We've got to bounce back now.
Next question is from Fletcher Mackel.
Hey, Cam, you referenced the penalties. That's what I was going to ask about. How do you fix that? Is it film study? Is it practice? Is it discipline? How do you clean things like that up and do it quickly?
In a cleanup, it's all 3 of those. I mean, it's film study, it's discipline, it's relying on your technique work. You know, you don't rally the way that we do, run to the ball the way that we do. You know, we don't, as our defense, we hadn't shown that. So this is something we have to address now and again, grow from today.
Next one's from Jeff Duncan.
Hey, Cam, you all were getting really good pressure early on Carr. Did they adjust? Did they do anything in particular to kind of flip that around? Because it seemed like the ball started coming out really quick and they were getting this ball to Waller a lot.
I'd like to say the answer to the immense pressure we got, you know, early in the first quarter was get the ball out faster. I think they did that. They covered it up with a lot of play actions. At one point, they left a full protection slide. These are something that we have to overcome. Again, when we turn on the film, there's going to be glaring things that'll jump out at us, and we have to get better from. And we also have to focus in and hone in on not only on our discipline but our technique work. That'll go hand in hand.
Next question's from Doug Mouton.
Yeah, hey, Cam, you guys have had these kind of losses early in the year, the last few years, the one in Los Angeles last year. Do you feel like you guys are pretty good at learning from these things early in the season? Certainly the track record seems to lead you to believe that you are.
Last year was last year, 2 years ago was 2 years ago. This year, we're a team that is in our mindset continue to grow, and that's what we have to do this game. We got to take this, and honestly, we have to break down and see how we can get better today. And if I don't go to sleep tonight, I don't go to sleep tonight. But we have a game Sunday. We have to get ready for this. We meet tomorrow. I don't care what it takes. We have to figure out how to get better from this. There was things that, again, we hadn't showed on film before. So this is something that we have to address now. When it comes to penalties, offense and defensive side, I can't speak for the offense. I know looking at defense, there was a couple times where we had them pinned right where we won them. And, you know, we don't do the right things to get off the field. You know, as Sean has said, you know, there's certain aspects of this game that, you know, you can't have happen in the game. And we wounded ourselves.
Last question's from Luke Johnson.
Hey, Cam, just specifically on those, I think they had like 4 touchdown drives at 10 or more plays. Just when you're on the field so much, does that kind of increase the level of difficulty of the challenge, just playing so many snaps?
Up until the third quarter, they were running for like 2.7 a carry. At the end of the game, they ended up with 3.5. That's something that we take pride as a D line to stop the run. We've got to up our keep. It wasn't good enough today. I mean, at the end of the day, we took an L, and that's something we have to learn from.
We're all set. Thanks, Cam.
Yep.
That was Cam Jordan, obviously disappointed, and as he stated a couple times, the work begins now. Getting in the film room, making sure they clean up those penalties, and right before we miss Drew Brees, let's go ahead and take him at the podium.
Yeah, general thoughts after this one?
Yeah, well, we didn't get many possessions, right? So we got about 7 possessions. If you don't count that last one, that last 2-minute drive. So I think we knew how valuable, the possessions would be in this game. And I felt like we started the game off well, put together some good drives. Three scoring drives, on our first 3 possessions. The turnover at the end of the half was unfortunate because, I felt like that probably took points off the board for us, maybe a field goal at the very least. And it gave points to them, gave them 3 points. So, if there's one thing I wish I could take back from the game, it would be that. Otherwise, man, we had a lot of mental errors. We didn't, felt like we were not playing as fast and maybe as just as sure and confident. Felt like we ran the ball well. And really, for the most part, I know penalties, at the end of the day, when you look at the stat sheet, it hurt us. I think offensively, we really just had one drive where it really set us back. We had, 2 holding calls and then I think an illegal block, that put us into like a 3rd and 20-something situation. I think that was our first drive of the third quarter. But, you look at what they were able to do, offensively, I think at the end of the half and then in the third quarter, obviously they did a great job of possessing the ball. I think they had 36 minutes of possession time. We had 24. So, listen, we know what wins football games, and we know what makes it very, very difficult to win football games. And obviously, we made way too many mistakes out there in order to win that game.
Next question's from Catherine Terrell.
Hey, can you expand on the interception and what you were seeing on that play? Was that intended to go to Deontay?
Yeah, I had to throw it a lot earlier than I wanted to. And bottom line is I shouldn't have thrown the ball. That was either a bad decision or make a, much better throw. But at the end of the day, just check it down. I didn't have the time that I needed to really make a good read. So I should have just dumped it to Alvin and moved on to the next play.
Next one's from Rod Walker.
Hey, Drew, how different is it for you with Michael Thomas not being out there? Or how different was it?
Well, I'd say the big adjustment was just having to move some guys around, So, Traquan basically, played a lot of Mike's snaps. And then you had new guys in at Traquan's position. And so, obviously we're very multiple with what we do with our personnel groups and formations and plays and everything else. And so I think just, honing in on, where everybody kind of fits in the best and then how we can execute better as a result of that.
Next question's from Jeff Duncan.
Yeah, Drew, do you guys feel like you're in sync right now? It feels like just watching from afar, you're all a little off. I know you said last week you didn't feel like you all played that well. And it looked like you started well tonight, and then all of a sudden couldn't find that rhythm again.
Well, I'd say this, listen, every drive in this game was very valuable, right? We really only got about 7 of them. So, if one of those ends up being, a turnover that, where we could have gotten points, and then the other one results in basically 3 penalties that took us out of field goal range and didn't allow us to get points, So 2 out of 7 possessions, should have resulted in some points. And so in a game like this, man, those are valuable. You got to have it. You just have to have it. So are we totally in sync right now? No, we're not. We're not even close to what we are capable of. Not even close. We did some good things tonight early on, but it just wasn't enough for the few opportunities we had. We needed to take better advantage of that.
Next question's from Fletcher Mackel.
My question was about being in sync, so I appreciate it. You can continue on if that's okay. I think you answered it. Thank you.
Next one's from Nick Underhill.
True. Is some of that stuff affected by no preseason? I mean, there's some stuff that we're seeing that we're just not used to seeing. Some timing stuff, maybe that's not quite there. Passes that are a little off the mark. Is it you guys still working into shape because you didn't have the preseason?
I mean, I don't know if preseason, what difference that makes other than, typically the starters get what we play about one quarter in the preseason, so sure, it would have been nice to have that. But listen, I mean, we got some new faces, and we just got to get back on track. I think we got to put together what is going to be, consistent execution. Because I'd say we're just inconsistent right now.
Next question's from Mike Triplett.
Hey, Drew, I feel like asking this question a little bluntly because, it's a popular narrative already from a lot of analysts that they're concerned we're seeing a sharp decline from your performance and some stats that, your air yards are the shortest through 2 games of any quarterback in more than a decade. What would you say to counter the narrative that you don't feel like you're starting this season showing decline?
Well, my job is to execute the offense, right? And so I think I've always evaluated myself on being a great decision maker. And so at the end of the day, I'm gonna throw the ball to the open guy, move the ball down the field, score points, help us win football games. So that's my job. My job's not to have the most air yards or throw the ball down the field the most or anything like that. My job's to help us win. My job's to help put everybody around me in the best position to succeed. And that's all I'm focused on.
And then just in your own evaluation, what is something that you personally would like to clean up heading into week 3?
Well, I think we just need to be more efficient, just more efficient. We have a wealth of stuff that we do within the framework of our offense. And, we called, a shot play or 2 today and just got the wrong coverage on both of them. So, what could have been big play opportunities, what could have, been throws down the field, unfortunately had to be checked down, But I think one was a 10-yard check down completion and another one was something close to that as well. So, again, at the end of the day, it's our job is to move the ball down the field and score points. And however we do that, we do it.
Last question's from Luke Johnson.
Hey, Drew, just curious what you thought of Traquan today, even in a losing effort, just filling in for Mike.
Yeah, listen, I thought he did a great job. I think we all see what he can do when he gets the ball in his hands, just the run after the catch. Obviously, Deontay Harris got some more opportunities today. I think we need to continue to find ways to get Emmanuel Sanders, more involved. There was an opportunity or 2 there, just, thinking back, I'm sure after I watched the film, where we say, man, definitely a few more catches, a few more touches. But listen, we got a lot of guys. I think we just got to hone in on, where everybody's fitting in the best and what will allow us to really execute at the highest level.
That wraps it up. Thanks, Drew.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, that was Drew Brees wrapping up. And now the Saints will head to the plane and head back to New Orleans. And as Cam Jordan mentioned, they're not getting a 24-hour rule like they typically would to kind of let that win or loss sink in. They don't have the time to do it now with a shortened week after playing a Monday night game, falling to the Raiders 34-24 and host the Green Bay Packers on Sunday. A few things that stand out are consistency and efficiency that Drew Brees talked about, and something the Saints typically aren't on the under when you look at their stats is time of possession. The Saints only had the ball for 23 minutes and 42 seconds. The Raiders 36 minutes and 18 seconds. That, of course, had a part in the Saints' loss. Saints only with about 7.5 possessions if you count that last one before the game ends. And, of course, the work begins now. 10 penalties for over 100 yards, unacceptable, as the defense stated. Fixing that, 3 answers: film study, discipline, technique. All things that they are going to have to overcome in practice. And Drew Brees even talked about saying it didn't really have much to do with preseason, not having those preseason games, given the starters only get a few reps here and there. It's more has to do with the amount of new players they have. Emmanuel Sanders even said this week that he's still trying to understand the offense. He was very honest with us and said it's something he's still getting comfortable with. Might have something to do with him only having 1 reception tonight, specifically with having Michael Thomas out. Again, a shorter week. Will we see Alvin Kamara as much against the Green Bay Packers? You would have to assume so after the productivity he has had in week 1 and now week 2. But will Kamara be enough? Who has to step up? Is it Jared Cook, Deontay Harris, Traquan Smith, or Emmanuel Sanders? The good news is they have all those numbers, and it's a matter of who can they get the ball to and effectively. Drew Brees was asked if his age is starting to play a factor, given the stats are some of the worst he's had in his career tonight, without throwing over 6 yards, just 2 6-yard passes, struggling in this game. But he said, no, it's just something they have to continue to go back and work on. Of course, they're upset, not happy about this win, and now it's just time to bounce back. When you look at last year, especially with comparing some of these penalties, one of the games the Saints really struggled in when it came to penalties last year was their loss to the LA Rams. Look what they did after that game, especially without having Drew Brees. Teddy Bridgewater came in and went 5-0 with the team after falling to the Rams and with ugly penalties committed not just on the offensive line, offense, but also the defense, as we saw tonight. So, of course, things to clean up. Definitely some positive takeaways, as we saw in the first quarter. The Saints just dominating. But after that, John Gruden stepped up and was able to find ways for his offense to be successful, specifically after the half, getting his tight ends involved. That'll do it for our Go Black and Gold post-game special. Saints fall 34-24 to the Las Vegas Raiders. They will not be celebrating in Sin City tonight. They are heading back home to begin working on the Green Bay Packers, who they will host come Sunday night. That's going to do it for us. Join in on all of our BRProud.com apps, websites, Facebook Lives to join in with us each game day for the Saints at halftime and post-game. That's going to do it for us here. Have a good night.